Hello, book fans and science fiction fans. I'm here to do a review of this novel, which is Fantastic Voyage II by Isaac Asimov. Now, you will notice, of course, the 2 in the title. This is because this book is based on an idea that was in this movie, which is Fantastic Voyage, which this movie came out in 1966. It is not based on one of Isaac Asimov's novels. Rather, the other way around. Isaac Asimov was hired to write a novelization of this movie, and he did so, and it was a very popular book. It sold one of his most popular books ever. But Asimov was not very pleased with the story because he felt it had many scientific inconsistencies. So he decided to write his own version. Hence, we have this. But this, even though it had the word "to" in the title, is not a continuation of the story of the movie. It is rather a reimagining or a reboot, if you will, of the concept of miniaturization. So, just like in both movies, both the movie and this part 2, so to speak, part 2 in between quotation marks, a crew is miniaturized alongside a submarine. They go in a submarine into the human body and into the human brain. So in the movie it was the Americans that invented miniaturization, and in this one it is the Russians. But there is an American on board who has crucial scientific knowledge that will help them in their mission. Now, let's talk about this book, in particular. This is a very good book, a very good science fiction book. It is a very sciencey. There's a lot of science in this book. It does sometimes gets a little heavy-handed right there. Because there's a lot of explanation of the concepts of a miniaturization and just exactly what happens when you are shrunk down to molecular size. All right, and also there's a lot of characterization in this novel as well. All the characters are very believable, even if they're not very likable. None of them. The main character, which is an American that is recruited by the Russians. He doesn't want to be there, and he makes that known, every step of the way. He is constantly complaining and whining that he shouldn't be there. He doesn't want to go, but still, he does go. He's forced into going, into being miniaturized and going into the brain. The book is, let's see, it is 385 pages. It could have been a little shorter, but not by much. I think it's the right size. All right, and it does tell a very good story. It doesn't drag a lot. It's not incredibly fast-paced, because it does take a while to get going and for them to actually get miniaturized and go into the human body. But once they're there, it kind of picks up the pace a bit. What this book is lacking, that the movie does have, that the movie has in spades, is that sense of wonder, of being inside this, uncharted world, this strange new world. Thus the title, Fantastic Voyage. And so there's very little of that sense of the fantastic in this, because of that, all of the characters here are scientists, so they see everything in a very matter-of-fact way. Whereas in the movie there was more of that sense of wonder, which I really enjoyed. But anyway, I did enjoy this book. Check it out if you haven't read it, or maybe you have never even heard of it, because this shall we say sequel, like I said, it's not a sequel. It is a complete reimagining of the story. Came out in the 80s, whereas the movie came out in the 60s. I believe it was 20 years later that this book was written. All right, well, Fantastic Voyage 2 by Isaac Asimov. Recommended if you like, your science fiction books with a bit of science in them. This is the one for you. Thank you very much for watching, and so long.